Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Everquest Old School. Now it's been a couple weeks since I managed to give you guys any episodes. That's simply because I've been really sick and my voice hasn't been fit to really do these videos. You can kind of still hear it in the back of my voice right now that it's a little deeper or scratchier than it normally is. Now what this video is going to be is simply just us going out and doing a little bit of hunting. I'm still pretty low level. There's not really a lot of places I can go to just yet. And I want to take a second before I do that though, and if you're getting confused about the town, you know, because I run through it fairly quickly, and it's easy to get lost, especially since these towns can be quite complicated. They're very extensive in some of these towns, and it's very easy to get lost, even for those of us who run through it over and over and over again. But if you're having difficulty keeping up, or you feel like you're missing something because you don't know the lay of the land, I don't want you guys to feel left out. So I've done videos where you guys can watch me go very slowly through the area, explore every room, talk to every NPC, check out what they have for sale. Just a nice relaxing video that you can watch doing that. That way when you run through these other videos, you have a better understanding of the area that I'm going through. And I try not to do too many things that are repetitive. You know, I don't want to show you guys every single time I go through the town. That would just be, you know, hundreds of thousands of hours of gameplay to do any one thing. But now that we're outside, let's go ahead and cast our pet. Let's see, Lyrian Corpse. Put minor shielding up. Let's do our pet as well. Okay, so let's see what we can get our trouble or get some trouble into. I will do videos where I explain this entire zone, where I go through and show you everything that you can attack and all the areas and whatnot. So don't feel bad if you kind of lose your direction in these in this zone if you're not familiar with it. It's fairly easy though. I mean, this beginning area is really just for low levels, so there's really not a whole lot that can get you in too big of a trouble. You know, a lot of it's not kill on sight, which means they won't attack you if you're just running up to it. But there is a fair amount that does roam by on occasion that can be. And as you can see right here, I'm getting attacked by another spider. But that spider would never have attacked me if I hadn't attacked the other one already first. So, but the skeletons roaming by, they are ready to attack. So it does kind of help you get prepared for the later zones and what to expect there, because in some of the higher level zones, you really have to be aware of your surroundings. Otherwise, you know, you're just going to get jumped all over the place and you're not going to survive. Go ahead and sit. Send him after the skeleton. Remember, those weapons are pretty decent money for when you're first starting out. I know it's not, you know, platinum, but it is still pretty good for the level. Plus, you always need bone chips for your pets, so you might as well get it. You can also, if you get those rusty weapons, you can sharpen them to increase your blacksmithing skill. And make a little bit extra coin because you can sell it for a higher price because it's been sharpened. Or give it to your pet so he can do a little bit of extra damage when he's using it. But for me, I'm going to do it for the blacksmithing. I've been doing a couple of those videos about a week and a half ago, or 2 weeks ago, I should say, before I stopped for that little extent. I was showing Brendan how to do blacksmithing from the scratch. And that was one of the methods you could use. Brendan is also a YouTuber, so if you haven't watched his channel, I'll put a link down below. And I would say definitely check it out. It's, you know, very good videos of him, you know, playing Everquest as well. So. Now my pet can pretty much handle these almost all on his own. You can con the creatures by hitting the C button on the keyboard, and it will show you what he is to you. They're just dark blue. Not that big of a deal. As you can see, he's fighting 2 of them. So I could technically find somewhat of a safe spot and just spin my camera around and you know, click on targets for him to run after. At a certain point, if you come here, you know, a level and a half ago, 2 levels ago, you might run into an issue like this where you have 2, 3, 4 creatures that just happen to roam upon you at the wrong time, and that could very easily get out of hand. But these skeletons are such a low level, they're not really that an issue to me. They're not going to hurt me at all. And as you can see, you can always keep an eye on your pet. You know, he's full life, not really breaking a sweat even doing any of this. Which leads me to either med up for the larger fights or loot up, so that I don't have to waste any time in between fights. But as you can see, you pretty much cleared the area of all the trash that was in this little small spot. So if you're too high of a level and you're killing way too quickly, you may exhaust a certain spot and find very difficult to find enough to kill for your extreme appetite, I should say. There's not a lot of people on right now. It's kind of mid-afternoon. I'm playing hooky from work, so I figured I'd log on and just mess around on here for a little bit. You know, I used to play this game so much when I was younger. You know, just every time I see it, it brings back those memories. The sounds, I mean, it's just, these are so iconic to me, just everything about this game. And as you can see, my pet can pretty much handle the fight all by himself. I am medding up a little bit more so that I can have some power for the major fights that I'm hoping that we can get into. There's a little higher creatures further down the path that we haven't really explored that much yet. And I figured, you know, we can go ahead and just see what's down there. It's been a very long time since I played the game, the original time, so I'm kind of relearning everything all over again. But I still remember, or at least it comes back to me rather quickly once I do get to something like that. Now this spider silk can be used in tailoring, so we'll probably hang on to it for that. And I'll do videos where I show you exactly how to do that, and where to start, and what does all that entail, what do you need, and things of that sort. But for now, we're just out here playing around, just hunting, just having a good time. This is really relaxing, because later on, when you get into groups, and you start doing, you know, camping names, and working your way into a zone to get to the name, and you're doing raids and stuff like that, that can be very, very stressful. And I remember that after some of the raids to like the Planet of Hate back in the day when it was really, really tough, and it really took a really good guild of highly experienced players to really be able to get through the entire thing. After those, you know, 3-4 hours, sometimes even longer raids, I would just want to relax. You know, I wouldn't be able to just log off, because that would be too much. It's like running a marathon. You need to walk afterwards to kind of like cool down a little bit. It sounds weird, but you've been sitting there for so long with your, you know, adrenaline going, and that's another weird thing to say about a video game, but it did get it going. You know, it was very stressful trying to make sure that you got everything down right, you know, for these major raids. And then after a while, they actually became fun once you actually got it down, but the very first few times, or when it's really, really tough when it first comes out, it can be stressful. So I would come over here and just kill random, you know, trash mobs in a zone that I was able to do it in. You know, and most of the time on the raids I was playing my healer, and so when the thing was over, I would switch to my Necro, or not Necro, my Shadow Knight villas, and just run around and just kill crap, you know, because you couldn't really kill anything with a a cleric, you could blast it, and then you'd be out of power, and you'd have to sit there for half an hour waiting for it to go back up again. So it just wasn't practical to do it enjoyably that way. But Shadow Knight, man, brings back great memories. This is my first character. I look back and I'm like, you know, the cleric got the best of both worlds, because it got my knowledge of the zones and the creature's pathing and how somebody will pull, because I did the Shadow Knight for the longest time. I maxed that guy out and I played him for a long time, and I was dead set against playing another character. I didn't want to do it. I put so much time and effort into that one. Why would I want to play a different one? And I don't remember what happened. I think eventually I just got tired of not being able to find groups when I really wanted to find one, because, you know, as a Shadow Knight, you're a tank, but you're not the greatest tank. You can do a lot of damage, but you can't do the greatest amount of damage. So you're wanted, but there's other classes that are wanted more than you are. And so if a lot of people are looking for groups, or people are being very, very picky that day, because, you know, if you get a healer, which is you really, really need, and they're very hard to find sometimes, and he's a low-level healer, well, then all the other characters have to be, you know, either a lot higher, or really, really decked out, or just the perfect classes to make his job easier so that you guys can survive. You know, and so sometimes people are being very picky, and a lot of the times, unfortunately, the Shadow Knight just wouldn't be able to find a group that needed a tank or a puller. You know, but a healer, on the other hand, no matter what time of the day, no matter what is going on, I don't care, you know, if you just logged on and the screen hasn't even loaded up yet, you would have like 15 tells saying, hey, come join our group. You know, and it would be crazy difference between the two. And so I started the healer because I saw that, you know, I was like, even with my tank, I would actually have healers that I randomly met in groups on my friends list, so that when they logged on, I would be notified, so I could start a group. Because as a tank, the only way you could ever get into a group would be to start one. You know, as you kind of weaseled your way in because you're the leader of it, you know, and you had to do all that work, and it was work to start a group. You had to look for people, and if their group felt that you weren't working hard enough, they would start to doubt whether it was going to come together, and then they may leave, and if one person leaves, another person may leave, and then you're down to just yourself again, you know, and nothing happened. You wasted all that time. So you really had to be on the ball and get it all set it up, and it was just one of those things that after a while, it was like I saw how easy it was for healers. They just log on, and they would joke about it too. They'd be like, yeah, I just logged on, and they already got like 15 tells from people, and I'm like, that's just, I want that so that I can play when I really want to play. And I want my tank because he's my favorite character, but I'm not going to be able to, you know, I don't want to sit around for 5 hours doing nothing. I'd rather play a character that I'm not too passionate about, and they kind of weasel my tank into it somehow because of the healer. You know, like if I sometimes that's what I would do, is I would find, what is that, dark blue? I could take that. I would find a group as my healer, and then when the main tank was about to leave, or close to leaving, if you gave us like an hour warning or something like that, like we used to do in groups that had been there for a while, you'd give them the ample warning to find a replacement so the group could continue. If they would do that, I would actually look for a healer to replace me, so that I could load up my tank and then come in. And so I was like putting myself on the list because I was already in the group. You know, it was so, you know, devious to do something like that, I guess you could say. But it was the only way you could get your guy in. And it's not that you were a bad tank. Sometimes the greatest tanks out there, you know, somebody would log on, they'd be like, oh man, it's him, you know, and it's like everybody wants you for the group, but they're not willing to kick somebody out to get you, you know. And it was so hard sometimes to find groups. It was just a chore in all aspects. Let's keep going straight down this way. Man, we've gotten pretty far down the path. If we don't die, because we got pain to come all the way back. Oh crap. He's red. attack the bear. But yeah, I started playing the cleric, and I found that I actually really liked him. He was a nice, relaxing class compared to the tank, because as the pooler, all the responsibility is on you. A lot of the time, other classes will be like, yeah, but you can't do it without a healer. Well, yeah, you know, you can't do it without a lot of classes, but if you had a pooler, he can sometimes make all the difference. You know, a good pooler would constantly have rooms or creatures to grab, and he would do it in such a way that it wouldn't be overwhelming to the healer. So he would pull, you know, one creature at a time, preferably, rather than a room of 5. You know, he knowed exactly how to pull that room, or I can get these two, which is the least I can get, instead of getting all 5 of them. You know, he know the lesser of 2 evils in a room, and he know the paling to use it for his advantage. You know, and it sounds conceited to say all this, but it's just things that everybody learns as they play the class. It's nothing, you know, spectacular, but knowing that as a healer, I knew what to expect when they were pulling things in, and I could see the level of knowledge that the tank had. I knew what he was capable of doing because I could measure him to my own self. I was like, yeah, you know, he's doing a really good job, or I could even say that he's doing a better job than I ever did. And you know, then I would talk to him and say, hey, you know, how are you doing this and that? And I could understand what he was referring to because I had done it. So it was kind of nice to have done all the classes, you know, and then have an understanding of that. I didn't mean to pick that up. There we go. I haven't done all of them myself, unfortunately. I think Enchanter and... I think maybe Enchanter, and Ranger are probably the only few classes that I've never played past, you know, like level 5 or something like that. Enchanter, I am just intimidated with, actually, to be honest. It's so much responsibility to be the Enchanter, because if you do have a bad... crap. If you do have a bad tank, or just in a bad zone that constantly requires the Enchanter, you really have to be on the spot with your mezzes. Otherwise, people are going to die, or the whole group is going to get wiped, and you can't really... Oh, crap, I think I'm going to die here. I'm going to run. I don't know if this guard will help me out, but we're about to find out. Thank God. This is a long way to run otherwise. Whew. Let's come over here and find out where he paves and sit right there. But yeah, I found out that I love the healer. Oh man, this guy's gonna move all over the place. Yeah, because he was nice and relaxing to kind of just sit in the back and chill and heal people. So I found that on the days where I was playing my tank too much, but I didn't want to get off because I was enjoying playing, because I used to play a lot back in the day. I mean, crazy amounts of time. I would log on to the healer and just kind of sit back, because his job really doesn't require a lot of stress. I guess I just got lucky he was even there. This guard, man, he goes all over creation. Just run back to the bridge. At least until I get my pet up. Go ahead and pet up now. But yeah, as the healer, you kind of just sit in the back. You find a corner or a wall and you put your back against it, and you don't move again until the group basically is over with. You know, ideally. If you get some bad pulls, you're probably going to move around the room, but you're not going to be leaving the room. And a lot of the other classes can say the same thing. The Enchanter sits inside the room most of the time. Occasionally he might leave for certain things. You know, but most of the people were just going to sit in that room. The tank that or my original character as Shadow Knight, never did that. He never sat still. If I was standing and not moving, I was doing something wrong as the pooler. That was my job, constantly running out to pull something in. and then as soon as the fight was over, whether I had power or not, you would leave and roam around the corridors in the little pattern that you had set up, hoping that the creature will spawn in the time frame that you knew he would. But it's completely different as most of the other classes. You're not constantly moving around, so it's kind of like somebody who smokes all the time stopping, and then having that compulsion to keep moving your hand back to your mouth. You know, it was a little daunting at first to get used to that, but then after a while it got relaxing, and been like, that was my break from, you know, resting my fingers from constantly doing that, because your fingers will get cramped in that little you know, keyboard style when you're trying to move around a lot. You know, you get it in that little set pattern, like a claw almost, and you know, after you had that for like 7 hours, you try moving a little bit, and your whole hand hurts like crap because you left it too long. So, you know, I would constantly get stuff like that. Total geek back in the day, and I guess I am still to a certain extent. I don't play nearly as much as I used to. You know, about 5-6 hours a day when I get off of work on the days that I can do it, which is like, I don't know, 2 or 3 times a week if I'm lucky. So, not like it was when I was a kid. I would get home from school, you know, after junior high and high school. I'd get home and log onto the computer and just start playing. I think it's dead over there. Yeah, I would just start playing, and I wouldn't really log off, and it was till it was time to go to bed. I mean, that's literally what I would do for my excitement. What is this? Must be fatigue death. And we are right here to the entrance to the common lands, but we're not going to go in there. We're going to come over here and check out, see what they're doing. There is a skeleton camp over here, which is where a lot of people go to get a whole bunch more, you know, chips for their pet when they're higher level. When they're passing through, they just run over here and kill everything. And these guys are yellow. Fire beetle. There we go. But yeah, if you guys got any great stories about your characters that you played, you know, little tidbits that you want other people to know, if you see somebody doing something that they shouldn't be doing, you know, in your groups, or if you got questions yourself, if you haven't been able to figure something out, or you see other people are doing something a little bit easier or better, more efficient than you, and you want to know why, feel free to post it down on the bottom. There's no judgment here. Everybody's at a different level of understanding. This game you can be playing for 10-15 years and still not know everything about it. It's just that big. It's crazy, and it's always changing, and it really depends on who's playing it, you know, the community that's there with you, and it's just really amazing just how in-depth they decided to make this. But we're going to go ahead and end the episode here. Hope you guys like this. Please hit the like button, subscribe, and as always, you're welcome to hit me up in-game. I'd be happy to group with any one of you guys, and thanks again for watching. Let you watch them die real quick.